Sarajevo was. Those Ruthenians, as the newspapers described them, were always doing some fool thing anyway. But during the last days of peace, that row in Europe gradually came into prominence. The front pages of the prairie newspapers carried threats of war and the rattling of sabers from continental Europe. Speculation as to Britain's role began. Nevertheless, Western Canadians still looked on as spectators. The Moose Jaw Evening Times of July 30th announced, "Expected that 2,000 Ruthenians will leave this city for the seat of war." There followed a generally sympathetic story of the excitement and patriotism stirring within the Austrian community in Moose Jaw and district. The next day, the Regina Leader published a list of Austrian reservists who were leaving Regina to join their regiments. They were to set sail on the Victorian on August 4th. A day later, there seemed to have dawned a realization of Canada's imminent involvement, and the Leader was spilling with excitement and stories of local men volunteering for possible war service. On Sunday, August 2nd, crowds of nattily dressed gentlemen in boaters and suits were photographed outside the Regina Leader's office waiting for news of the war. "Four great powers now at war," trumpeted the Leader on Monday. But still Britain stayed out. Excitement was at fever pitch. The 4th of August was a letdown. The Leader announced with a disappointed air, "Armed neutrality only." However, enthusiasm picked up in numerous small articles which told of volunteers from every social strata. That night, thousands gathered outside the Leader's office to hear the latest war news. They were not disappointed. The official announcement was received that evening. Britain had joined the Allies, and when Britain went to war, the Empire went with her. Chapter 1. Call to Arms. "Oh, we don't want to lose you, but we think you ought to go. For your king and country. Both need you so. We shall want you and miss you, but with all our might and main, we will thank you, cheer you, kiss you, when you come back again. Your king and country needs you." A popular recruiting song. It was December 17th, 1914. Lieutenant Colonel Herbert Snell looked over the order he had just received from Ottawa. The instructions were clear. Begin recruiting 220 men for the 3rd Canadian Overseas Contingent. Herbert Snell was an energetic and dedicated man. Born in Stockbridge, Yorkshire in 1880, he had come to Port Hope, Ontario with his parents when he was 11 years old. As a young man, he had headed west to seek his fortune, and eventually established a ladies' wear store in Moose Jaw, where he soon won election as an alderman. Then, in 1913, with characteristic vigor, the 33-year-old merchant had taken command of the newly raised 60th Rifles of Canada. The weeks before the declaration of war had been frustrating. Long beforehand, Snell had forecast the coming conflict. During that last summer of peace, his store and the large, comfortable house on North Hill had seen him less and less. His small, spare figure could daily be found signing recruits or inspecting the new armory, which was nearing completion. When war was declared on August 4th, Herbert Snell and his beloved regiment were ready for it. Like so many other militia regiments, the 60th confidently awaited its mobilization call. Nothing happened. It was becoming painfully obvious that something had gone awry with Canada's carefully prepared mobilization plans. Sam Hughes, Falstaffian Minister of Defence, had scrapped the detailed plans and had instead sent out 226 night telegrams instructing local commanders to begin recruiting. Thus, the established military administration had been circumvented, and control lay in Hughes's powerful hands. Existing units were ignored, and numerous overseas battalions were being raised by gentlemen whom Hughes considered to be both prominent and politically safe. Within 2 weeks, Moose Jaw had seen 3 groups of men leave for the war. The Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry had gobbled up 106 men on the 11th. Shortly afterwards, 250 men were